Welcome to the Juice Box with Juice Springsteen, covering the week that was in professional wrestling. And we are back. You didn't think you could get rid of us that easily. It's Justin. It's Josh. It's Juice. It's almost chair shot reality, but it is the Juice Box. WrestleMania predictions, night 2. Man, night 1 was a doozy. We went through a lot there. We covered a lot of ground. And there were 7 matches on night 1. We got 6 matches on night 2. And as I stated yesterday's episode, as of the recording date, we are unsure if Randy Orton gets a match on WrestleMania at all. Josh and I kind of threw around potentially, if it were to happen, it would be placed on night 2 because there's only 6 matches and then you could have 7 on both, but I don't really know. And we're just going to go as if it doesn't happen. Although I hope he does get something. I would have been fine with it just being Randy Orton and Nick Aldis, to be quite honest with you. But I know they might be saving Nick Aldis for that inevitable Adam Pearce Nick Aldis match, which would be really a fun thing to see come to fruition. But 6 matches, a lot of stuff going on in this. Let's dive right into it. And as I said again in yesterday's episode, Pool Party Gaming. This is where you can really catch up. If you fell behind on night 1, you got night 2, and bounce back. You got 6 matches to choose from. Plenty of options. Plenty of ways to win, free to play, free to win. Check out all the social media at Juicy Steen, at Josh Isenberg 4, at Pool Party Gaming. Shout out to Adam for facilitating and helping with that collaboration as well. All right, guys, let's kick things off. Women's Tag Team Championships. Raquel and Liv defend against Bayley and Lyra Valkyria. This was just set up this past week. I don't know what to kind of make of it. I know that for a while, I had thought maybe Io was not going to be world champion and could have been with a team potentially with Asuka involved here. There's a lot of different moving pieces, but ultimately we get these 4 women. I think we're going to see new tag champs, although I wouldn't be shocked if one of the other matches that we discuss in this particular prediction show would kind of bookend if Liv and Raquel did win. So I think ultimately I'm going to make my official pick. I'm going to say Liv and Raquel retain their tag titles. Josh, I'm going to pass it over to you. Who you got in the women's tag title bout?
Liv and Raquel. I think Judgment Day, depending on what happens, the rest of this WrestleMania Sunday,
yep,
they need to win. I think you see Liv and Raquel being the only members of that clubhouse with championships potentially. But I think Liv and Raquel retain. I think the Bayley-Lyra thing is just kind of thrown together because they needed Bayley on the WrestleMania card because she is a very popular superstar. I'm taking Liv and Raquel.
Justin?
Yeah, I'm going to call it a sweep here. I mean, Liv and Raquel have done a nice job as a tag team, so I don't see any reason to have them lose here. And especially, Bayley and Lyra, they had a hell of a one-on-one match a few weeks ago on Raw, which was great to watch, but I just don't see them as a team doing much beyond this, especially as long as Lyra still has the women's Intercontinental title. I don't see her carrying both that and the tag titles. So, yeah, Liv and Raquel, and like Josh said, the bigger picture here is to watch Judgment Day as a whole and what Judgment Days, what their status with each other is come Monday Night on Raw.
Yeah, I think that plays a lot into it as well. We talked about it with the Bloodline 2.0, Judgment Day, the extension of the Judgment Day. These factions have really lasted a lot longer than I ever anticipated, and they are continuing to add members, subtract members, win championships, lose them. They're feuding within each other. They love everybody again. We're going to talk about that later on too, but I think ultimately, Liv and Raquel retain here, and it's an interesting spot for Bayley and Lyra Valkyria, especially considering Lyra is the women's Intercontinental Champion. I would have liked to have seen one of those titles be defended. We talked about Chelsea Green not getting an opportunity as well, but Backlash is in a couple weeks after this, so I guess there's always room for matches to be placed on PLEs involving those championships. So It is what it is. Let's go to what I consider a potential show or both night stealer. AJ Styles, Logan Paul, much like the other matches, kind of thrown together in the way that I don't know how much of a story these two could have straight up, yet I know that the match is going to deliver in a big way. And AJ Styles has had one hell of a WrestleMania resume since coming to WWE, and I think this is no different. Justin, I'm actually going to ask you, in addition to who you think is going to win this match, could this be AJ Styles' last WrestleMania match?
Oh wow. Yeah, I mean, I guess always it's a good chance, right? I mean, he's not getting any younger, and while he looks phenomenal, pun intended, you just never know. You never know, I guess, what the next year of Mania holds for him, where he's at, and things. Possibly. And I think I got Logan Paul here. I think this match will be, again, as most Logan Paul matches are. There's going to be, some potential viral moments, and I'm sure he's going to try to do a spot, while he's got a phone on a selfie stick, or somebody's going to be recording him. It's going to try to carve out its spot on the card. But I look at Logan Paul and his WWE career, and while he's always shown up and delivered when asked, and he's took to this so amazingly quick, relatively speaking. More of the big moments he's been put in, he's lost. He has a match in Saudi Arabia a while back ago when Roman was still champion. He loses to that, and we've seen him in chambers and rumbles, and he comes up short. So I think a big, and he has had some wins, but I think a big win at Mania on a one-on-one singles match against a guy like AJ Styles, I think that's something that Logan can brag about for quite a while. And again, kind of to what I said on our night one predictions when you get to Mysterio and El Grande is, what does Mysterio gain from that kind of a win? Same thing here with AJ Styles. Does AJ really need the win? I guess if you're intending to try to thrust him back into a world title picture and challenger, then maybe. But I'm going to go with Logan Paul here.
Yeah, I'm going to go with Logan Paul as well. I think, as Justin said, he's come up short multiple times in big matches. Aside from obviously winning at WrestleMania 40 last year in that triple threat match between, him, Randy Orton, and Kevin Owens, he's come up on the short end of the stick multiple times. And the best thing about AJ Styles, and this goes back to when he debuted, he lost at WrestleMania 32 against Jericho. The next month, he was in a World Championship match at Extreme Rules against Roman Reigns. So no matter if AJ Styles wins, loses, or draws, he's a guy that you can count on. I mean, heck, he even faced Cody Rhodes last year in France whenever he lost to LA Knight. So he's a guy that no matter if he wins or loses, you can easily catapult him into a World Championship match. And even though we didn't think he was going to be either of those guys, it made for intrigue. So I think Logan Paul wins this match. I think there's a great viral moment. And I think for the first time in a handful of years, Logan Paul's one-on-one match with AJ, not that AJ can't carry a match, because he obviously can. He's one of the best of all time. But Logan's speed, athleticism, and youth is going to bring out the AJ Styles of old, the TNA AJ Styles, where AJ is going to want to do things to match what Logan Paul can do, which could ultimately say this is one of the best matches on WrestleMania Sunday.
And I tend to agree, and especially with the point you made earlier. I mean, AJ had that match with Jericho and lost. Yeah, and he had that match with the Extreme Rules. And even, it was the following year, he ended up winning the world title.
Yeah.
It doesn't even, he doesn't get phased by wins or losses. He's just always a competitor in a world that's kayfabe. He's as competitive as it can be. It's about as real as it can get. He's always in the mix. And I think it's a clean sweep. I think Logan Paul gets the win. I think there will be a viral moment of some sort. And I also think it would be really cool. And look, people don't like Logan Paul, and that's fine. But the truth of the matter is he's incredible in the ring. I think if you watch some of the backstage interactions he's had with other wrestlers, he really cares about this business and is as all in as a guy of his celebrity status can be, which, is more than some wrestlers that were part-time can say. And I think he really cares about growing the business. I think Triple H sees a lot in him and vice versa, and of how to grow their brands, grow each other, and how it can work. So I would like to see Logan Paul win this match, and AJ Styles, without, a heel or face interaction, just a straight up, match goes on. I want AJ Styles to shake the hand of Logan Paul as a sign of respect and be like, look, this guy is the real deal. And if you beat AJ Styles at WrestleMania, you are pretty damn, important going forward. Or phenomenal. I don't want to be cliche. You know me. I like to be original. Like to feel tucked in, nestled in. But yeah, I think this is going to steal at least the night, and yet we still got a lot of intrigue in the following matches. But another clean sweep that sets 2 matches in a row that we've clean swept. On night 1, we had 4 of the 7 matches as a clean sweep. So the odds are none of these are going to, end up as perfect as we anticipate. But that's what makes it all that more fun. We always talk about it on this show, that the fact that it's so damn unpredictable makes it that much more intriguing, that much more entertaining. And look, we're talking about it to the nth degree. So let's keep it moving. We've got a fatal 4-way for the Intercontinental Championship. This could steal the show based on the guys that are in it. Dominic Mysterio, Finn Balor, and Penta all looking to or dethrone Braun Breaker as the IC champion. Man, I mean, Penta Braun would have been a great match. I would have been intrigued with that. I'd have also been intrigued at Finn versus Dom if they were to immediately have that split in the Judgment Day, but they decided to put them all in a match. I think it's going to be insane. I think Braun hits spears on every single one of these guys, but I am going to say that the guy that walks out of this as IC champion is the son of Eddie Guerrero, Dominic Mysterio. Josh, what say you?
I was really hoping that you were going to say anybody but Dom, because
that's
that was
the genius of it.
That's the delicate genius, yeah. Initially, I thought Dom, and I think Dom would pin Finn. So Penta doesn't take the loss. Braun Breaker doesn't take the loss. You can have a pissed off Braun Breaker. You can have Penta who, doesn't take that fall, and nothing really hurts, those 2 guys. But for the sake of being different, because I can't do a clean sweep, and I have a feeling that LaBar may say Dom Mysterio, I'm going to go Braun Breaker. I think Braun retains. No, you know what? Screw it. I'm going to Dom Mysterio wins too. There's better stories to be told if Dom is the Intercontinental Champion and pins Finn Balor. And that Judgment Day, as we said earlier, in part 1 of the Juice Box, earlier in this episode where Liv wins, Liv and Dom can be champions, and that's the dissension of the Judgment Day. Because I think they realize it's run its course, and they realize they need to find those seeds that have been planted between Finn and the Judgment Day for such a long time. So I'm going to go with Dom Mysterio winning, even though wouldn't be surprised if Braun Breaker wins. They want Braun to win his first WrestleMania match. They maybe take Braun in a 4 or 5, WrestleMania win streak, make him that dominant badass that he can potentially be. But I'm going to go Dom.
Justin?
I can make a case for all 4 of these guys. You can see a scenario and a path of why it would work out. Obviously, the Finn and Dom dynamics and the Judgment Day and the teasing of them going at it eventually is there. Of course, nobody would bat an eye if Braun can walk in as champion, walk out as champion, defend against all 3 guys. I'm going to go Penta. I'm going to go Penta because I feel like Finn and Dom could cancel each other out, and they could be, having a match with each other sooner rather than later in future PLE. Braun, I don't think would be harmed, especially because, again, depending on how the finish goes, you could have it so Braun doesn't get pins, so protect him to whatever degree that is. But Penta, they made a big deal about Penta coming in. Obviously they've given him, the entrance. They gave him what I was totally surprised by on that very, very first night. He cut a few minutes of a promo after the fact in the ring. I just really did not expect that. That's so uncommon for them to do with a.
It's almost like a sink or swim moment, right?
Yeah,
like,
in a way. Yeah, in a way. I mean, obviously they've had Mexican luchadors before, but so rarely would they have them speak on a live mic. That is, and I think everything they've given Penta, he's hit it, and the crowd seems to be responding. At first it was okay. They're debuting him in L.A. He's got a lot of history in L.A. and Lucha Underground, and not too far off from Mexico. And he worked a lot of independents out there, so I thought, okay, let's see. But they've gone all around the United States and the rest of the world, and he keeps getting the reaction, so it feels like it's here to stay. So that to me is going to put him in the driver's seat to walk out as IC champion.
Now, let's say this happens, Justin, and you were the purveyor of predictions. Do you see? I don't know. I guess there's a draft, or you mentioned the other show that this roster could be switched and guys can jump across and what have you. If Penta wins the IC title, do you want to immediately see an interaction with Phoenix, or do you want them to hold that off? Because I think it's better that they've already started them as singles, because it'll be that much better for them to get maybe a match and then like one-on-one and then become a tag team. If Penta wins the title here, do you think they accelerate that process?
I would keep Penta and Phoenix away from each other. I don't think,
for as long as possible, you think?
Yeah, I mean, and to the point of, I wouldn't be mad if the first time we don't ever see them on TV crawl. I mean, they might do some stuff at house shows especially if they're, if they do a house show in Mexico or something like that. I could see them having fun interacting together for the crowd. But I would keep them on TV. Hell, even till Rumble. Maybe they.
That's what I was just gonna say. They have maybe they're 1 and 2 in the Rumble. How crazy would that be?
Yeah, I mean, again, kind of sticking with the unorthodox of WWE and how they've handled this. And granted, I'm saying unorthodox, and I'm blending in all the years that Vince was in charge, so that has to be accounted for. But again, unusual that they'd have Penta debut the way he did and give him let him cut a promo in the ring live, in both English and Spanish. Also, unique for WWE to have a masked luchador like him come in January, and then just a few months later they have the hype and build for another masked luchador, which obviously just happens to be his brother, but they're on two different brands. But again, that can be a little bit tricky. It's not like there's a ton of masked wrestlers in WWE, so that can be tricky. But I mean, so far it's still early for Phoenix, but it seems like people are buying into Phoenix, and he's doing some amazing stuff in the ring. So yeah, I would keep them far apart. I feel like to me, and I'm a big fan of both of them individually, I think you can get a lot more out of them as singles and individuals, at least especially Penta, again, given what the crowd's reactions have been. Then you don't need them in your tag division right now. It's just not needed. I think, and even too, and I'm not doubting Phoenix. I'm just saying we just only have a 2-week sample size versus 4 months with Penta. Even if they feel like, okay, Phoenix is kind of like, it's not taken off the same way as Penta has. It's kind of like, floundering a little bit. I hate to say this, but this is reality. They can always put Phoenix around the LWO, put them around Ray, put them around proven acts if they felt that was needed. I hope that's not the case, and I'm not predicting that, but they could always do that for Phoenix. They don't need to say, oh, well, Phoenix isn't working as a singles guy. Let's grab Penta. We gotta put the brothers together. No, if you see money in Penta as a single star, which I think there is, then don't derail that.
Right, and I think it's a little early to assume Phoenix can or can't. I think it's too early for the jury to be conclusive on where it is. I mean, Penta's been only 3-4 months, so give it time. But I'd say separate them until you absolutely need to.
Yeah, I wouldn't. I give Phoenix a chance, I think. And so, I mean, and so far, again, we've seen 2 matches, and it's been great.
Absolutely. So, yeah, I'm on board with that. And we finally have some different opinions as Justin picks Penta. And I honestly, I wouldn't be shocked. I would be more shocked if Finn won or if Braun Breaker retained than Penta. I would say Penta's definitely my second choice there. But regardless, I think Finn and Dom are going to have some animosity towards each other, definitely in the match and then potentially outside of the match, regardless of the outcome. So I'm looking forward to seeing the storyline progression there. Let's go into what is now being billed as a Sin City street fight. Maybe they'll take it to the streets. Maybe they'll take it to a casino. Maybe they'll take it to the parking lot outside of the Caesar's Palace. Well, you never know. But Damian Priest, Drew McIntyre, again, another match that I was like, all right, They set it up at the Rumble, and this is what we're doing, you know? And now it's progressed. They've really had a lot of great interactions. We've got a lot of beatdowns, car windshields broken, trying to take out some eyeballs, real glass, DDTs on stairs. It's getting physical. And now Sin City Street Fight, these two behemoths who last year opened up WrestleMania in one way or the other in the world title picture. And here they are a year removed, still with some animosity and absolutely some higher stakes here. Maybe not world title stakes, but big moment on night 2 in a street fight. Justin, I'll start with you. Did you initially anticipate this match having any cachet when they first teased it at the Rumble? And as you're getting to the match now, has that changed for you?
I like both of these guys. This is probably one of the ones I'm least excited about. It's just because, I don't know. The bill doesn't grab me as much. Again, I'm a fan of both guys. I'm gonna go with Drew here. I look at Drew and it's like the last big win, big PLE win he had was SummerSlam against Punk when Rollins was referee. That was the first week of last August. Since then, he's lost, strap matches. He's lost Hell in a Cell, both to Punk, mind you. He's had some TV wins against guys like Sami Zayn or or Jimmy Uso or Randy Orton, which is fine. But like everything big. He lost the strap matches, as I said, lost Hell in a Cell. Obviously, he doesn't win Rumble. Obviously, he doesn't win Chamber. I just think that he needs a kind of that win. I think Priest can, Priest will still have his fans and his, what have you post Mania. They probably need to, I'd be very curious what Priest's path is post Mania, what the plans are for him. But I don't think that him losing to Drew will be the worst thing in his career. And I think that Drew needs to win more than Priest does.
Josh, I'll go to you.
Yep, completely agree with everything Justin said there. You look at Drew's WrestleMania history since becoming the COVID champion at WrestleMania 36. Losing against Bobby Lashley to start off 37, which still baffles my mind. 38 against Jinder Mahal, more like, oh, we're friends, and I think he beat up his motorcycle or something, which is a horrible, forgettable WrestleMania match. And then obviously the triple threat match at 39, losing to Gunther in a triple threat with him and Sheamus. And then last year, winning the championship, and then obviously setting up a feud for him and CM Punk, which ultimately he would lose multiple times to CM Punk. Well, not multiple times, but losing to CM Punk in the finale. Drew's going to win this match. Nothing against Damian Priest. I'm excited for the match because it's a street fight. So you're having two 250-pound plus guys who can work like they're 200 pounds. Could be a very underrated match. It just all depends for me on how much time they give them in this match. Again, because it's not a marquee match, because we know that the main events are going to have extra entrances, a lot more time. I don't want this match to be cut short where it's like 12 minutes and just like bang, bang, bang. If they give them 17 to 20 minutes where they can actually, implement a lot of the things on the outside, chairs, it's a physical, and I appreciate the fact that there is history here. And a lot of people are complaining about like, this is a random match. Well, it's not random. Like, it's not at all, because Damian cashed in last year. Like, that is a linchpin for this feud to actually have meaning to it. So I'm going to take Drew McIntyre in this match. And again, as Justin said, I'm excited and interested to see what they do with Damian after this, because Damian's been a guy that has been up and down, left and right, heel face, and capitalizes on all of his opportunities, whether it's facing Bad Bunny, whether it's becoming world champion, whether it's separating himself from the Judgment Day before becoming world champion. I'm interested to see what they do, but I'm going to take Drew McIntyre to win this match.
Now, Justin, you said Drew as well, right?
Correct.
All right. It's going to be a clean sweep. And I think the street fight element helps Drew more so because, heels cheat. And this is not a cheating mechanism. It's just anything goes. And even though that does somewhat lean towards a Priest win, where normally he might not be able to take out Drew, but if under these conditions he might be able to, I think it makes more sense for Drew to get the win. It doesn't hurt Priest as much because it is a street fight. And then two things. I think Drew winning this match, getting a lot of momentum, would really help him to maintain his status, hopefully in the upper level of the card. Definitely not the mid card. I think he's still got some juice left for some world title opportunities, depending on who walks out as champion. If it's Jey Uso, give me Jey and Drew as something like that. Could be intriguing. And additionally, I don't know. Maybe this is an awful idea. You guys can chastise me for it, but if it's gonna be Finn and Dom having this falling out, and their adversaries are going against each other, I kind of wouldn't hate Damian Priest kind of receding back into a role of maybe not mentorship, but just trying to hash out what's happening with his former Judgment Day cohorts. Not necessarily turning heel, but like being a part of that in some way. I don't know if that takes away from his character and how it's been built up since, and if the fans would appreciate that or not. But I don't know. If he loses this match and he doesn't do something with a Judgment Day, I just don't know what he would have going forward. Do you guys know what he could do if he loses this match?
Well,
I don't. Yeah,
it's a good idea. I mean, Juice, what you said, that's a good idea, but actually, I take it a different way. You kind of said maybe like a heel turn or what have you, but I look at it like this: if moving forward and through the spring, if Dom and Finn is going to be a feud in a match, if they're finally going to start to go at it, well, somebody's going to be a babyface, right? And
it ain't going to be Dom.
Well, no,
It could be, I guess.
That's where I'm going.
He's so hated. That's the thing.
Well, he is, but I also think sometimes that can also lend to a recipe of where people then he can become really cheered. But what I'm getting at is that if this does break off to be Finn and Dom, and Finn is portrayed more as the heel, which I think would be the case, and so then you go, okay, well, how do we get people to rally around Dom? That's where Priest could be the answer. If Priest starts hanging around Dom, he's like, look, man, you got so much potential. Your freaking dad, as much as you dislike him as Rey Mysterio, you have all the potential in the world. You just got to stop being a knucklehead, stop hanging around with fools like that. I think if Priest can say something like that, it can kind of get Dom to start thinking clearly and what have you. The Priest might be a helping hand to getting because and then too, for TV and what have you, they could have Priest and Dom versus Finn and Carlito, or I don't know when or if JD McDonough's ever gonna be back again after his crazy injuries there. But if JD was back, Finn and JD, you know what I mean? So you could have Priest aligned with Dom and help give Dom that babyface rub and let the people know, hey, it's okay for you to now cheer Dom.
Well, I think there's a potential for Dom to become a face in 2025. There is some slight chance, I think, in England or wherever they were, where they were kind of like, let's go Dom, which I can see happening. But my question to you, Juice and Justin, do people really want to boo Finn Balor?
I think it's by association with Dom and just the character he's at right now. But I think if you separated Finn Balor and even gave him the opportunity to be the Demon, which do we think that's going to happen, by the way, in the Fatal 4-Way?
I don't
or
think
do
so.
they normally announce that it's the Demon, right?
Yeah, I don't think so. But that's what I'm saying is, like, Finn has been so universally loved. Even when he became a heel, he might not get the overall crazy reaction as he did years ago as the Demon, but he's just a guy that people don't really hate. He's kind of that middle ground type of person. He doesn't have that hate that even when he's in the Judgment Day, like, he's kind of just lukewarm. You like him because of what he did in NXT. You like him because he's not the traditional WWE guy. So that's what like my thought process is when this split eventually happens. I can see people wanting to cheer Dom, but I could also see people not wanting to boo Finn Balor.
See, I don't think people care as much about Finn when he doesn't have the old music and they can all throw their hands up and participate, or if he's not the Demon. I think this presentation of him and Judgment Day, they're happy to they're fine with booing him, and I think too the way that they've been telling the soap opera story, he's come off more like a heel than Dom has. Like Dom's talking about, hey, let's just try to get some new members and let's try to strengthen, which is okay, that's logical. That's nothing wrong with that. And like Finn's shutting him down, and Finn's going behind his, Finn's being much more sarcastic and like, nice job there, Dom. So like it just feels like Finn is going to remain in that position as the heel, and they're going to try to find a way to make Dom appealing.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of interesting points I think we've all made. Look, for Justin, you were like, I don't know about this match. It seems like there's somewhat of some intrigue, actually, by the time we kind of wrapped up talking about it, which is the brilliance of us three getting together. Huh?
Well, yeah, I mean, Priest and Drew. I'm not like super excited going into it based upon the build,
Right.
but yeah, the result of what it means for each of them. Yeah, I mean, there's when you start playing we start doing the chess pieces, it can get interesting.
Oh, we played checkers on this show. we're not doing anything. We don't act like we're anything we're not. But
King me.
Maybe some 3D chess like they used to do, or 4D chess. Isn't that what it was on Star Trek? They had like the levels of chess pieces on the boards.
Yeah, 3D chess. That 3D chess is what I said on Busted Open. The Triple H started playing 25 years ago. He had this whole thing mapped out.
It was all a part of the plan, as they say.
Is listening. Don't let him lie to you. He's listening.
Oh, I love every Sunday, 9 to 12, Sirius XM. Now let's go to another multi-person match. We've had a few already on the card as a whole. Io Sky, Bianca Belair, Rhea Ripley, Women's World Title. This match was a singles match, and then it was a triple threat, and then it was a singles match with the two that weren't in the original singles match, and then they had a match with the third person being referee, and that was a double DQ, and now we're back to a triple threat. Convoluted as all hell, and I would prefer Bianca versus Rhea or Bianca versus Io or Rhea, but this match now is a triple threat. I like the intrigue of it being no DQ. It leaves open some potential for, as I said earlier yesterday on the show with Naomi and the Bianca Jade thing, I'm not 1,000% convinced that Bianca is not a part or wasn't a part of that attack. I think she kind of got out scot-free, and Naomi took the fall for her. And I think Bianca could find a way to win this match, be world champion. And, if the deck chairs are shuffled and you get Jade potentially on the same brand as Bianca, and it's unveiled that Bianca was a part of it, boom, Bianca and Jade. If Jade does get the win, you get a title program going forward. So, man, initially I was going to say I want, because I do. I want Io Sky to walk in and walk out as champion, but I'm going to pick Bianca Belair to win this match and win the Women's World Title. Josh, what do you think?
Io Sky will walk in and walk out as the Women's World Champion. Justin?
Rhea Ripley. I don't know. I don't know what they were doing. I'm not sure. I don't know if this is all part of the plan. And then when she loses to Io, and I don't know. But maybe it's just this is the longest build to Mania ever because it's the latest in the calendar Mania's ever been. So maybe it's just a thing of like we gotta fill some weeks. We gotta have some Raw main events. But let's give Io Sky, let's give her a title reign, even if it's not a long one. But at the end of the day, Bianca, as we've talked about, it seems like there's potential for her to be heel, especially if you tie back in the Jade stuff. And just reality is when you put all three of these ladies out there, the crowd just overwhelmingly just is Rhea Ripley. And so I know, again, it's triple threat, so you could have Rhea not win but not be pinned potentially. That's obviously possible, but I just don't see it. I think this is Rhea Ripley's title win back. They're gonna, it's much like how Charlotte has however many reigns she has, and Orton has all of his. Like this is just Rhea added another title reign, but justly so, because again, she is like one of the most over acts on all of their television, and it's not even close. I mean, her music hits. I mean, and you guys know it, that there's that old school pop of like everybody gets on their feet immediately as soon as they hear that this is my brutality. I mean, she is over with the guys, with the girls, with the kids, everybody. I see everybody. I was at a kid's birthday party the other day, and I saw a 6 or 7 year old girl have a Rhea Ripley T-shirt on. I was like, "What is this?" It's
your daughter. That's why. No.
No. Yeah, I'm going Rhea Ripley though.
Wow, Josh. So why do you say Io so definitively?
Because Bianca and Rhea have gotten their moments. I know Io won last year against Bayley in a pretty good match. I just think you've seen this feud build between the three women, and the outlier is Io, where they're trying to make you not forget about Io, but putting the spotlight on, and also justifiably so, putting the spotlight on the other two women that are just as big. So I think in that theory, those two are going to have their egos, their personalities, their aura, face each other, and Io sneaks a win. So that's why I think Io wins.
Yeah, she's been kind of not left out, but there have been multiple moments where Rhea and Bianca are in the ring, and Io, who's the champion, is in the middle, and they're like, no, you're not important enough to be here. And I think that makes this match more intriguing. And like I said, I think that the fact that it's a triple threat, so therefore no DQ, helped in any of their cases, to be honest with you. If there's anybody that needs an assistance, or, like I said, if that heel turn is still kind of festering there, that there's an avenue for that. So I'm picking Bianca, but I can't disagree with either of your guys' analysis on it, because I still want Io to walk in and walk out. I think that would do a lot for her character. Yet Rhea is uber popular, and it's the Charlotte effect, but it's not to the detriment of the character just yet. Rhea is still pretty beloved by everybody, and if she wins another title, it's like, hell yeah, like, let's keep running with it. She's great. And then, man, depending on if you brought up Becky, I believe, earlier, didn't you, Josh? Mm-hmm. I mean, the caliber and amount of talent on the women's roster in WWE, I mean, across all wrestling, to be honest, but in WWE in particular, is so vast that give me any of these women to be champion, and you could have there's so many different challengers that could come through and challenge. And I do think we haven't had an official announcement yet, but I do believe we're on the precipice of a second Evolution PLE coming up later this year. So if that's the case, I think you could see a lot of these women in prominent matches. So,
and never mind the female talent in NXT with Stephanie Becker and Julia and Roxanne Perez. I mean, it's
Jordan Grace
and Jordan. I mean, yeah, I mean, so
everybody.
Ruka, hello.
So Ruka, oh, big fan of Ruka. I mean, it's just if you're a woman on the Raw or SmackDown roster right now, unless your name is Jade Cargill or Rhea Ripley. Or Bianca, unless you're on that very top, with Charlotte and Tiffany, obviously. But like outside of that top level, if you're even Lyra Valkyrie, even though she's a mid-card champion, even that, you are truly fighting for your spot, because you look over on Tuesdays and you go, damn, like, they're coming. These women are coming.
And I'm glad you didn't mention Chelsea, because even though she is super over right now as a heel, I think of course, she wants to be the best she can be at her job, but it's almost to your point. It's like, I need to be, even if I'm, quote, mid-card champion, I might not even have a match at WrestleMania, but damn it, I'm going to prove myself, prove my worth, because at any moment, you've got 5 different women that could be coming up tomorrow and taking my spot. And you can't let that happen. And I like that drive, that hunger for success that seems to be across WWE as a whole. In that women's division right now. But I digress. One final match to talk about. I can't even believe we're even here. It's been such a wild ride. Some ups, some downs. This match will be like a heart attack, Cody Rhodes defends the undisputed WWE Championship against John Cena, a heel John Cena, and this could be where John Cena breaks the fabled record. LaBar is a huge Capitals fan, and last week, the once thought of unbeatable record of Wayne Gretzky in the all-time goal scoring record was surpassed by one Alexander Ovechkin. And Ric Flair, in his 16 title wins, was honestly another one. I don't know if it's going to do it. Triple H got 14, Randy Orton's got 14. But one guy has gotten closer than anybody else, and I like that it's John Cena, because of all the people, he is the face of WWE, and now he's the heel of WWE. And this is his big moment. We could talk about this for a while, and I'm sure we will. I'm going to immediately just pick, and then I'm going to pass it to Josh, and then we'll go to Justin, and then we'll kind of see from there. But I am picking John Cena to win this match. Whether The Rock shows up, I don't know. Whether Travis Scott shows up, I don't know. If he does, I hope Cody gives him a receipt, even though I am a huge Travis Scott fan. I think it'd be perfect for him to take a, crossroads. That'd be hilarious to see that guy take a bump. But I think John Cena, by hook or by crook, walks out of Vegas, as champion 17 times. Not sure if Flair will be there, but I'm looking forward to the rest of 2025 with a heel dominant WWE champion John Cena. Josh, big match, biggest match of arguably one of the last couple of WrestleManias. It's one of the biggest matches of all time. What do you see happening?
John Cena wins. I think at some point we see The Rock. And I think that the old adage of the chase is always better for a face. We see Cody Rhodes chase. I think Cody Rhodes goes off TV for a couple of weeks. Maybe he misses Backlash. Something happens where they write him off. And I think they write him off because of what happens with, The Rock, potentially Travis Scott, but ultimately John Cena being champion for a record 17th time. I was okay with maybe a month ago whenever we would think, oh, maybe, Cena will win on his last match and retire. I don't think that's going to be the case anymore. I think John Cena wins. I think John Cena, defends his championship every couple of months, similar to what Roman Reigns did. And you keep Cody hot, even though Cody won't be on TV every week. I mean, the guy's been on TV, on the road, on live shows for, 3 years now, doing every single event imaginable, even Raw and SmackDowns. But I think the heel John Cena for his last run will ultimately end in him losing it later in the year. But this is the opportunity for WWE to give John Cena that one last hurrah. And I think Cena wins this one. And I do think we see The Rock.
Justin, biggest match of the last 5, 10, however many years? What do you got? Who do you think is going to win?
Yeah, grab the broom, sweep. I got John Cena. When Cody hit the crossroads on Cena a few weeks back on Raw, right then and there, I said that feels like John Cena's going to walk out of Mania. And yeah, obviously, you kind of feel like The Rock has to resurface at this event. We have not seen him since the heel turn, but it would be very weird if there's no Rock presence at all for this. That would be very odd. And also if Cena doesn't win here, it really kind of feels like, boy, what a waste of a heel turn. What I mean? It's just it just doesn't add up. And like Josh said, Cody's been, other than the very, very brief, other than the brief time of having to get his, pec, whatever that injury, but he's been on the grind. And so I think Cena winning makes a lot of sense. We talked about when we did our night one predictions, Josh was talking about how there's still going to be some people cheering John Cena. And while I don't completely disagree, I do think, and this makes me go back to thinking about Austin at Mania 17 when he turns heel. Part of it is, okay, how is Cena win? How is he a heel? And I think if they can do it right with The Rock and the Final Boss, and given how loved Cody is, and who knows who else, what are the baby faces maybe try to get involved in this to help defend Cody. If they do it right, I mean, we could really have that nice situation where the fans are just in a riotous display of anger, and John's just taking it for all it's worth and healing up. I continue to say this: John Cena has been booking this heel turn in his mind for 25 years, and the things that he has said each week on some of these promos, and it's like that he just has been making note of things that he could say and do. And so I gotta believe that him putting his creative mind together with Cody and with Triple H and whoever else is involved in it, that they are going to they're not going to drop the ball on this. This is going to be executed as well as it can be, and Cena's going to win. And then I'll take it a step further. I believe Backlash, if I remember right without Googling here, I believe Backlash is in St. Louis.
Yeah,
May
10th.
May
What's
10th.
that?
You're stealing my thunder, LaBar. I was going to interrupt you.
All right. I'll stop there then.
No. I was going to say, you saw last year with the whole Avengers Endgame type scenario with everybody coming out. I mean, don't you see if Randy Orton does not have a match, he comes out and tries to help Cody when The Rock comes out and tries to help John Cena, which could ultimately set up for a Cena-Randy Orton match at Backlash in St. Louis?
Absolutely. Yeah, and I love that too. I love I wasn't even necessarily booking Randy to appear during this match or during this night. I was thinking, okay, maybe this picks up in the weeks that follow. But I think it's a great point. It might be a great audible call for the fact that, okay, well, Randy doesn't have a match, so how can we get him some FaceTime on the card? Let's have him try to save the biggest babyface who Cody is Cody, his own record said, Randy's one of his mentors.
Yep.
So that would be very fitting, yes.
And I also wanted to put in, the first couple promos the segments were good, right? But it really felt like Cena led the charge, had a lot of the time. Cody only got a little bit in. It was that third one where it felt like both guys were firing on all cylinders. Cena shredded Cody, and then Cody defended himself and practically did the same amount of damage back to Cena, and then got physical as well. Now, this was recorded, of course, before SmackDown, which takes place later on tonight, and Cena will be there, so that'll be the last push for this match. But kind of something that you touched on, LaBar, and it's been the whole theme of how, Cena had to be a legitimate heel for this to work, because as soon as he does things that the fans want, gear change, music change, whatever, the fans want that. They would cheer that. They'd be behind that. And you would potentially get a Rock Hogan scenario from Mania 18, which oddly enough happened in Toronto, and Cena turned heel in Toronto. And it all it dealt with The Rock. All that stuff connects. It's pretty wild when you think about it, especially when, Hogan passed the torch in Toronto. There's a lot of crazy things going on there with that. But with how Cena turned heel when he did, as crazy and as upset as the fans were then, to your point, Justin, if they pull this off, how I think, and you think, and Josh thinks that they can at WWE for the levity of it being WrestleMania, and Cena walks out as champion, I can visualize that 80s heel heat to such a degree that we have not seen before, that they teased at Chamber but cashed in on at Mania, where everybody that's a bad guy is truly standing tall, but with the title and your hero, laying in maybe a puddle of blood. I have no idea what they're going to do here, but
let me also give you guys
go ahead.
Let me also give you guys a prediction and/or / production suggestion. We always know that Mania, the entrances are big, or as part of the entrance, there can be, little videos that air that lead into the entrance. I can make a case for either way, but they're going to be in Vegas. They're going to be in the home of the Raiders. I would have a pre-recorded video of Tom Brady, and you can do it one of two ways.
He could be there. He said he might be there.
You could have Tom Brady either do a video talking goat to goat, and it's a video for John Cena, because Brady, while he's now a minority of the Raiders, it's a Vegas crowd. It's not like I'm sure more than half that crowd is going to be coming from somewhere else other than Vegas. So meaning they're football fans of some other team, not the Raiders. And so Tom Brady could get some heel heat if he wanted to do a goat to goat, or if they figure, okay, Tom Brady's going to get cheered because he is Tom Brady. You could also do Tom Brady saying, "Hey, this is QB1 talking to QB1," and hype up Cody Rhodes.
Look at you, LaBar. Sign LaBar to the creative team, the production team. Come on.
Justin, you might have a career in this broadcasting thing. You need me to talk to anybody, I can do that for you, but you have to give me their contact information first.
if you could put a word in for me, that'd be great.
I'll do what I can. But I mean, guys, just ultimately, Josh, I'll just throw it to you. Just, do you think this culminates, if Cena wins, but do you think it's pulled off as big as the heel turn dictated it should? Because like I said, it seemed as big as it was. And I mean, look, it was arguably one of the biggest moments of the last, 20 plus years. Will the WrestleMania payoff successfully pay that off, or will it fall a little short? Because I know some fans have been critical of the Cena heel turn, being like, man, I don't know if they're really going all in on it yet, but could they pay it off at WrestleMania to where everybody's satisfied, in your opinion?
Yes. Yeah. If The Rock comes out and ultimately that costs Cody Rhodes the championship, yes.
Justin, what about you? Do you think that they will be able to, prove those that are like, man, I still don't really buy this? Do you have, I feel like I know your answer, but it's what we do here. Do you really think that it's going to be able to be pulled off at a level that most, if not all, the fans will be satisfied and we can progress going forward, especially because it's Cena's last year? We kind of put that in the rear view here because he's turning heel now.
Yeah, I think Cena has to win, for this to feel paid off, for this to feel right. I mean, I the only scenario that I can really see in my mind of him not winning, as you said, is his last Mania. The only scenario is if things with he and The Rock went south, but that would seem so premature. You can do that
So quick,
later,
yeah.
right? You can do that later, especially if you can make the schedules of these two box office stars work. If you can line a PLE up somewhere here in this last year of Rock and Cena, run it back one more time. Good
Don't
God.
even get.
I mean,
please. I hope.
I mean,
I've been wanting that for years.
I mean, the last time they did it obviously was Mania 29 and they're and 28, and they're bigger, and they're both bigger deals to society and the mainstream than they were then. So I mean, they could just imagine the media that they could command of those two guys having a match on a marquee PLE, like a SummerSlam or what have you. So that's a booking angle to go to later. It would be very early to do it now because it'll be like, man, what did we just do here? What did we just we got 2 months of a really good heel Cena, and then that. So I just can't see any other scenario. I think he has to win Cena. I think he has to win. I don't see, I just don't see a scenario where Cody Rhodes beats him, and Cena's maintains the momentum that I feel like he has right now.
And I also wanted to ask you, Justin, do you think that, again, we're talking about with this, it's going to end in what, 8 months, give or take. I had somewhat of a belief that wouldn't it be interesting, because Cena's a heel now, that he, not that he lied, but if he's champion by the end of the year, you know what? I think I'm going to take it a little longer, and they can take it to Mania 42 to where he maybe drops it. But if that doesn't happen and it does end in December, if it's not, you say premature at WrestleMania, when would you see that happen? Do you think ultimately he has to turn Cena, that is pronouns, pal? Do you think Cena ultimately has to turn back before hanging it up, or are they just going to run with this to the end?
I don't know if he has to. I don't know if he has to turn back. I think. But first off, let me go back real quick. I disagree. I don't think there's any chance they call an audible and goes unless, and I'm knocking on the biggest piece of wood on this desk right here because I obviously would not want this to happen. Unless he was to get injured somewhere in this, and they said, okay, we got to do this, and they lose time with him, and they that's the only way I can see them calling an audible and him being part of next year's Road to Mania is if for some reason they had to call a massive audible because of an injury. But obviously, we hope that does not happen. I want things to go however planned they're supposed to go, because I think right now, as it's set, I think the plan is he's done in December. I think the plan is they have a show, a PLE in December. This past December they didn't. They just had Saturday Night's Main Event. I think they have a PLE that is designed all around Cena's last match. It's probably in Boston, quite frankly, or it's in the Garden in New York. And I think because he could get great heat in New York if especially if he comes out in the Red Sox stuff and all that nonsense. So I think he's done for sure in December, and I don't necessarily know if he has to turn back face prior. I think the wrestling fans have embraced this enough to where they would play along, especially if he's against the right babyface. They would play along and booing him. And then, of course, whether it's on camera or whether it's once the cameras go dark and it's for a Peacock documentary, he, of course, will get a standing ovation of many minutes long out of respect for what he's done. But I think he could run a heel all the way to the end if they did it right and they had the right babyfaces lined up.
Yeah, I think that would be very interesting, and I also do enjoy the potential of an Orton Cena match one last time for the title, a potential Rock Cena 3, because I know the first match was incredible, the second match was very predictable and frustrating to say the least, but a third match I would absolutely be intrigued, especially if it's a Cena that got the world title because he turned heel to join with The Rock, only to then The Rock potentially say, you know what, I this is why I wanted it. I wanted the soul of Cody, but now I got the title and his soul. I want the title for myself.
It's so fun to think. I mean, there's the callbacks you want to see one more time. Cena versus Rock one more time. Cena versus Orton one more time. Cena versus Punk one more time. But then there's also can we fit this in for the first time ever? Can we fit Gunther versus Cena in? Can we fit Braun Breaker versus Cena in? Like there's a few of those where it's like, ooh, can we make that happen?
Yeah,
Jacob Fatu.
There's plenty. I mean, there's so many different options, and there's only so many dates left. It's kind of frustrating to know. That's why I just selfishly am hoping that he does pull you know what, maybe I'll take this to WrestleMania next year. But I also thought about this where maybe because he did say it already. What if he retires as champion and then that next Royal Rumble is for the championship, especially because it's in Saudi Arabia? I mean, that's a huge way to sell that show there because it's not stateside, and that show sells itself stateside. But to have some intrigue for the Saudi show, I think that'd be an interesting avenue to take.
And wouldn't that be interesting that if that happened, they truly said, because the title that he would then win from Cody, while it gets a little confusing with all the other, they've had the Universal title, which they've merged, whatever. So that title that he'd had, that's the title that has the lineage of Bruno and Hogan and all those people. If they actually closed the book on that title and said, it gets to retire with you, and we're starting a brand new lineage, which kind of represents a new era, represents the Triple H era, that would be very interesting.
I agree. And man, this has been fun. I really appreciate both you guys hopping on board, throwing the straws in the juice box, proverbially, of course, to get your takes on WrestleMania. This is my favorite time of year as a fan. I'm sure it is for you guys as well. Josh, I appreciate you coming in. You come in for most prediction shows, but this is the big one. I appreciate you coming in for the Pool Party Gaming facilitation. Check out at Josh Isenberg 4, at Pool Party Gaming, at Juicy Steen for the latest on the Pool Party Gaming WrestleMania Pick'em Pool. And Justin, tell us where you can find yourself this WrestleMania weekend. You're going to be a very busy guy, I assume, from the studio.
Yep, at Justin LaBar on social media. And yes, you can catch me both Saturday morning and Sunday morning hosting Busted Open 9 a.m. to noon on SiriusXM or the SiriusXM app.
Very exciting stuff, man. And I'm very much looking forward to WrestleMania. Just at one last thing before we head out, just what about it this year? I know a lot of people have been a little critical of, it doesn't really feel like the build has been there. And maybe that's because it's so late in the month of April. But to you personally, do you think it has lived up? And do you think it will, ultimately supersede what people have been discussing with the show as a whole?
I think Mania will deliver. I think the builds felt a little odd because, as I mentioned earlier, it's the longest road to Mania we've ever had. And so that, I think that does, well, fans probably didn't realize in past years, so they didn't ever pay attention to stuff like that. I think now they're starting to realize it, that like, hey, adding 3 more weeks, it does matter. And so I think that can play a role in the build. But I think I think this show has all the makings to deliver.
Yeah, I think so too. And especially if some of the stuff we discussed comes to fruition, who the hell knows what we'll be talking about. Well, you'll be talking about after Saturday and after Sunday, but what the world will be talking about after that at the water coolers on Monday, as everybody does, because WrestleMania and WWE is at the top of pop culture right now. So, man, this has been fun. Really excited for this weekend. And check out Justin this weekend as well. He'll be live in studio. I'll be back sometime next week. Who knows? Hopefully you guys enjoyed all the different episodes we had this week. Main Event Maniacs. We had a special, another episode specifically on the 5 pro wrestling events that kind of shaped my fandom as a fan. And the last 2 nights, we've had predictions for night 1 and night 2 of WrestleMania. So I appreciate everybody checking it out. If you have, at Juicy Steen on Twitter, at Justin LaBar on Twitter, and at Josh Isenberg 4 on Twitter. CSR, Juicebox. It's always fun to get with these guys, and I hope you guys enjoy WrestleMania weekend. I'm Juice Springsteen signing off, and I hope you guys tune in next week for another edition of The Juice Box. That was The Juice Box with Juice Springsteen. Make sure to subscribe to The Juice Box wherever you listen to podcasts.